Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Terp Family Fundamentals webinar series. My name is Danielle Walker, and I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Assistant Director in the Office of Family Engagement. For those joining us for the first time, this series is designed to help family members and supporters become informed consultants on campus resources so that you can confidently support your Terps throughout their Maryland experience. This special edition also welcomes our students, and we're excited to have both Terps and their families tuning in today. I'm pleased to be joined by the Off-Campus Housing Services team, who will talk you through everything you need to know about navigating the off-campus housing search. Before we get started, I do want to share a few quick housekeeping notes. If you have questions during the webinar, please submit them using the Q&A feature in your Zoom toolbar. If you don't see the Q&A icon, click the three dots to expand your menu options. To help us address questions that are important to most of you, please use the upvote feature. If you see a question you'd also like answered, select the thumbs up icon instead of typing a duplicate question. We'll prioritize questions with the most upvotes. Also, be sure to check the Answered tab within the Q&A feature, as some responses may be provided there throughout the session, and we'll do our best to respond to as many questions as time allows. Finally, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Terp Family YouTube channel later today. So you can find the direct link to our channel in your confirmation email or the reminder email as well. And with that, I will hand off the presentation.
Thank you, Danny. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar about navigating the off-campus housing search process. I do want to introduce myself. So my name is Tiffany Harris. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I serve as a coordinator in our off-campus housing services office. Next slide. So here is an outline for today's presentation. I will begin with a brief overview of the services our offices provide to the university community. We will also be doing a poll question to get some insight on who is joining us today. Next, I'll share information about the housing options available for undergraduate students, how to plan your housing search, basic lease terminology, and how to utilize our off-campus housing database as part of that process. After that, I'll provide an overview of two of our university affiliate undergrad housing communities and explain their leasing process. Then we'll conclude with some campus resources for your reference and followed by a question and answer session. Next slide. So before we begin today's webinar content, we'll like to understand your housing concerns about searching for off-campus housing. So Danny has launched a quick poll that will be greatly appreciated if you can select the options that apply to you.
And I'll give folks about 5 more seconds to make their selections.
Thank you, Danny. Okay, let's see what we have here. Thank you for everyone for their participation. It looks like the top concerns that we have are related to affordability, finding a suitable place to live, as well as transportation and safety. So we'll be addressing these topics along with others during today's presentation. So thank you for your help participating in this poll. Next slide, please. So for our off-campus housing services office, we are part of the Department of Resident Life. And our primary goal or focus is to serve as a resource and support students and families as they transition to off-campus housing, whether it be you're going to an apartment, you're renting a private room within a townhome or home in the greater College Park area, or considering one of our university affiliate housing communities. We offer a variety of resources on our website, such as how to understand your lease, budgeting, landlord responsibilities, tenant rights, and what to expect when you are looking for housing off campus. And we also manage our off campus housing database. And additionally, we do work with our university affiliate housing communities. We have housing communities related for undergraduates as well as graduate students. Next slide, please. So when it comes to thinking about your housing options for off campus as a student, undergraduate student, there are really three categories or three main options you want to consider. The first being the apartment complexes that are in the greater College Park area, and they tend to be managed by a private property management company. We do have some listed here on the slide that are in close proximity to the university. The next is renting a room in a house or townhome in the greater College Park area. We've also listed some cities that are around campus that are for your reference. And the last part is our university affiliate housing. What that means is they are located on university owned land but are managed by a private property management company. While all of these options share some similarities, there are some differences that I do want to highlight. First, being university affiliate housing is only available to University of Maryland undergraduate students, while off campus housing in the greater College Park area may be having students that are affiliated with the university as well as to the general public. Costs and amenities may vary across these housing options, so apartment complexes tend to be a more structured environment and the amenities, however, they can be of a higher cost. While there some will include your utilities along with your rent, some may not include utilities. It just varies by property. Renting a room tends to often be a bit more affordable for students and their families, and they offer a bit more flexibility with the leasing arrangements, but it may require coordination with roommates. The university affiliate housings, their costs includes your renting of the bedroom as well as utilities. So when you're thinking about the off-campus housing search process, it can be a bit overwhelming. So we encourage students to think about it in three phases. Next slide, please. So the first phase is you want to create a budget, and that is going to help you determine what housing options is the most realistic for you and your student. In addition to the rent, you also want to think about other costs such as utilities, parking, food, transportation, and other living costs, such as having a pet. You also want to think about what amenities are really truly important to you. For example, before paying for an apartment that has a gym, a pool, or all these additional amenities, you want to remember that as a University of Maryland student, you already have access to many great recreation and wellness resources, such as the Epley Recreation Center. So once you have finalized your budget, you want to begin moving on to phase two, and that is narrowing your search. One resource available to you is our off-campus housing database. It is a free resource for all University of Maryland students to utilize, and they will just enter their university login and create an account that way. Once you have begun to search through our database and look for housing options that suit your needs, you want to consider creating a spreadsheet to help you track information from what you reviewed on the listings, or if you do a tour or speak with the staff, you want to have a place for you to warehouse all that information for your future reference when you move on to phase three. And phase three, I think, is the most important part of this process. It's where you begin to evaluate your top choices and start asking questions about the living environment. The goal in this step is to gather as much information as possible that will help you determine whether this property or this housing option meets your needs. And this is a time where you ask your landlord or property management questions, such as we get asked by students whether a property is safe. We encourage you to think about a bit more detailed because the term safe is very broad. So you want to begin to ask specific questions of the landlord or property manager, such as what are safety security measures placed on your property, such as a controlled access? Are there security personnel that walk through the property periodically? How is the emergency response in that area around the property? That will begin to help you get more information, get a better understanding of the living environment. So then you want to take time as you get this information to compare what the housing options that have shared with you about them to help you figure out, do they meet your needs. We strongly encourage students that you ask as many questions as you feel necessary to help make an informed decision before you sign your lease, because once you sign your lease, it is a legally binding document. So you want to make sure you're going through this property process confidently before you sign the lease. I do want to highlight that, say if you are looking through your notes from a property or looking through a lease for a property and you have some questions, we do have the undergraduate student legal aid office that is available to review documents for you and to connect you with any city or state resources if they are not able to assist you with any questions you may have about a lease or about any legal documents you may receive from a property management company or a landlord. An added benefit is they are a free service for undergraduate students at the university. Next slide, please. So when you are searching for off-campus housing, I do want to highlight some important key terms and policies you want to consider in your search. First being there are two different types of leases you want to think about. The first being a joint or collective lease, or by the bed or individual lease. You will hear these terms being used by the property managers or landlords interchangeably. The key difference between these two lease types is the financial responsibility that is shared if a roommate in that apartment fails to meet their lease obligations. The lease terms do vary by property. Most apartment complexes in the university affiliate housing have offer leases that are either 11.25 months or 12-month lease, and they typically align with a calendar year or rather than an academic year to provide housing for students over the semester breaks and summer breaks. When you're thinking about leasing within a private home or townhome, they tend to vary on the length of the lease by the landlord's preferences. Most properties, apartment complexes do require that you have a guarantor as a student due to the student having limited income history, and the requirements for a guarantor, or also referred to as a co-signer, may vary by property, but they tend to ask for proof of income, a credit history, and require other financial documents just to show a person's reliability when it comes to leasing in that property. There is one thing that is becoming increasingly popular within the apartment complexes or renting of in townhomes or homes is renters insurance. The purpose of renters insurance is to provide protection for personal belongings and liability coverage for an apartment in case of theft, fire, accidents, or even injury within the apartment. Some properties require coverage through their preferred provider, while others allow you the option to find one of your own as long as it meets certain requirements determined by the property or landlord. If you or your guarantor already have auto or homeowners insurance, we encourage you to check with that provider to see if you are able to add on renters insurance to your policy. So our office and the off-campus housing database partner that we work with, called Off-Campus Partners, which is part of the larger apartments.com company, We do our best to screen listings to reduce scams or fraudulent behavior. However, we do encourage students remain cautious when they are looking in our off-campus housing database or even other housing platforms. And so we have a couple of tips here that we want to highlight. First being that you never want to send money to a property management or a landlord before you sign your lease. You may have an application fee, which is understandable and reasonable. But if a landlord or property management company is asking you to begin to pay for security deposit, a certain number of months of rent in advance prior to you signing your lease, we want to encourage you to hold on that step of sending the money because there may be some questionable behavior happening. If it is possible, tour the property before you sign your lease. And if you are out of state student, you can see if the property offers virtual tours, or if you know of someone that's in a close proximity to campus, maybe a friend or a family member, see if they can go on a tour for you, or do a virtual FaceTime tour to help you get a feel for the property before you sign a lease. Next part is you also can utilize Google to verify the address or find some reviews about the landlord or the property management company. So these are some 3 tips that we wanted to highlight, but we do have more information available on our database, on our off-campus housing database and website that you can reference. If you are ever engaging with a property management company or a landlord that you have some concerns about, please reach out to our office or our off-campus partners for assistance, because we can work with you to let you know what we are aware of about the landlord or property management company. So next, we're going to show you a short video about our off-campus housing database and how you can utilize that in your housing search.
Welcome to the University of Maryland Off-Campus Housing Database. This website is designed to help University of Maryland students, faculty, and staff explore off-campus housing options in College Park and the surrounding communities. From the homepage, you can search for housing, find roommates, post sublets, or access helpful resources, all in one place. To get started, click Sign Up in the top navigation bar. Select students, faculty, or staff, and register to begin your housing search using the University of Maryland Off-Campus Housing Database. To search for housing, click Housing at the top of the page. You can filter listings by price, number of bedrooms or bathrooms, and property type, helping you narrow down options that fit your needs near UMD. Use additional filtering and sorting tools to view listings by distance, price, or availability. These options allow you to compare properties and focus on locations that work best for your commute to campus. The interactive map allows you to see rental properties in relation to the University of Maryland campus and explore what's nearby. You can use the map to view surrounding neighborhoods and adjust your search area as needed. Click on a map pin or listing placard to preview a property. Selecting a listing allows you to view full property details and learn more about each off-campus housing option. Listing detail pages may include photos and floor plans, links to the property's website, property descriptions, amenities, and pricing information. You can also contact property owners or managers directly by phone or email through the listing. If you're searching for a roommate, you can create a roommate profile to help connect with other members of the University of Maryland community who are also looking for off-campus housing. Fill out your roommate profile with details about yourself and your housing preferences to help find a compatible match. Profiles can be filtered to help you connect with other UMD students, faculty, or staff. If you already have housing, you may be able to create a listing and link it to your profile to connect with potential roommates or subletters. Be sure to explore the resources section of the site for helpful off-campus living information. You'll find resources provided by the University of Maryland, off-campus housing services, apartments.com, and local partners to support you throughout the rental process. If you have questions or need assistance, visit the Help Center using the links on the site. You can also contact support by phone or email for help with your housing search or using the database. Whether you're moving off campus for the first time or looking for a new place near UMD, remember that you have options. Take time to explore your choices, ask questions, and select the housing option that best fits your needs at the University of Maryland.
Thank you, Danny. So now we're going to shift gears and talk about our university affiliate housing that is available to undergraduate students. So the two communities that we have is called South Campus Commons and the Courtyards at UMD. And what university affiliate housing means, as a refresher, is that these communities have been built and developed on university land, and they are only available to University of Maryland students. However, the legal and financial responsibilities of that lease is managed by the individual community housing office, which is part of a larger private management company called Capstone on Campus Management. When it comes to these two communities, they do tend to be a good fit for students that are entering into their final 2 years of college because they do provide a level of more independent living and apartment style living experience. I do want to highlight that for transfer students, you may still be eligible to sign leases in these communities depending on the number of semesters you have completed in a college or university after you have graduated from high school. As noted on the slide, both of these communities have 7 residential buildings on each community site, and the leases tend to run from late August through late July of the following year, allowing students to live in the communities during the summer as well as semester breaks. Next slide, please. So I just do want to give a bright overview of each of these communities to tell you what the similarities and differences are. So South Campus Commons is located along Knox Road and Prinkert Drive near the South Campus Dining Hall and College Park Shopping Center. This is a traditional style apartment complex that features secured building entrances, so you have to use an access card to enter into the building and to get into an elevator that will lead you up to your apartment floor. And it houses approximately 2,000 students. Most residents live in a 4-bedroom apartment, but there are limited numbers of studios, 1-bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and 3-bedroom units available. And there's staff support available 24 hours a day with service desks located in selected buildings. Now, for the courtyards, they are located near the Xfinity Center along University Boulevard. They are a garden-style community that houses approximately 700 students, and the apartment types there are 2-bedroom standards, 2-bedroom deluxe, or 4-bedroom apartments. The amenities include in this community is free parking on the property, a clubhouse with study space, a fitness center, a recreation areas, as well as an outdoor pool and volleyball court. In both communities, residents have private bedrooms. There is in-unit kitchen and laundry facilities available, and there's a variety of flooring options based on the apartment type in both of the communities. If you scan the QR code or visit the websites listed on the slide, it will take you to that community's website for you to view the floor plans, do a virtual tour, as well as see the housing costs for this upcoming leasing term. The next slide, please. So when it comes to apartment availability, the apartment selection process for the upcoming term for both communities has concluded. Therefore, the most common way to secure housing in either of the communities is through the lease transfer process. And simply put, a lease transfer occurs when a current resident wants to transfer their lease to another eligible student because they no longer plan to live in that apartment during that lease term. One advantage of this process is the lease transfers can occur at any time during the lease term. However, availability may depend on the time of year and the number of students looking for a lease transfer. To sign a lease in either of the communities, students must be enrolled full-time student and be in good academic and student conduct standing with the university. Transfer students may also participate in this process. Depending on when you have scheduled your orientation date and register for classes, our office may request documentation confirming your enrollment and verify eligibility before approving you to participate in the next steps of the lease transfer process. On this slide, I have listed the website that has more information about the lease transfer process that you can reference once you leave this space. Next slide. So here's an overview of how the lease transfer process works. The first step is finding a leaseholder. You can do this through searching our off-campus housing database or by adding your name to the Commons Courtyard's lease transfer interest list and a way to be contacted by a leaseholder. To add your name to the interest list, that is a form that's located in your housing portal. Once you have found a leaseholder and you have agreed upon the apartment and you feeling comfortable of living in that space, then you want to go ahead and complete a leasing application located in your housing portal. The leasing application is a non-binding form, but is a requirement as part of the leasing process for these communities. When you're completing the application, it will be asking you to verify your personal information, your emergency contact information, providing your guarantor's information, as well as agreeing to the terms and conditions of the leasing application. The next step is once you have completed your leasing application, then yourself as well as the leaseholder will want to go on to step 3 and complete your respective lease transfer forms, also located in your housing portal. You want to be sure to verify the apartment and bedroom information between yourself and the leaseholder, and then confirm each other's university email accounts. The reason being that is how our housing database will connect your forms by having the correct apartment information as well as the university email address. So if you provide incorrect information or if only one of you complete the form and not the other, that can cause a delay in the review process. So once both parties have completed the form, our office will review the lease transfer forms. And we do that on a weekly basis on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays between the 1st and the 25th of each month. Once it has been reviewed, and if it is approved by our office, then we will notify the site housing office that it has been approved, and they will contact you and the leaseholder to begin the legal and financial transferring of the lease. It is important that you, as well as your guarantor, complete all the required documents by the specified deadlines. Failure to do so may result in delays or even a cancellation of the lease transfer. From start to finish, it can take approximately 17 to 14 business days for our office to review the lease transfer, and then the legal and financial transferring of the lease happening within the site housing office. Next slide. So I do want to highlight an exciting opportunity that our office is hosting later on this summer. It is our off-campus living fair that we host annually for the campus. This brings an opportunity for students and their families to connect with the property managers, campus partners, and community organizations that are there to help students transition into off-campus living. So we also want to highlight that we are happy to announce that we have a couple of apartment complexes that will be at the event that you can speak to directly that anticipate having availabilities for students come July. It's Union on Knox, Domain College Park, Terra Student Housing, and the Arbor College Park, and they're located close proximity to the university. This event is free and open to all university students and families. While registration is not required, we do encourage you to register in advance so that our office and participating partners can plan accordingly. You will find additional information about the event and the registration link on our website, which is listed on this slide. Next slide, please. So as we wrap up today's presentation, I do want to emphasize the importance of being intentional and proactive throughout your housing search. Taking the time to develop a plan and explore all of your options can help you avoid being committed to a lease or a living environment that does not meet your needs. Our office provides a variety of resources to help support you throughout this housing search process. The contact information for our office and campus partners is included on the slide, and we encourage you to take advantage of these resources as you begin or throughout your search. Next slide, please. So now we are going to be opening up the floor for questions. As Danny has said earlier, if you have a question, please place it in the Q&A chat box so we can keep track of that. And we will do our best to answer questions in our remaining time.
Thank you, Tiffany. So we had some questions come through, and our colleagues have been answering them mostly. And so there are a couple that I did want to ask live for the entire group. The first thing that I do want to mention is there were a lot of questions about South Campus Commons and the courtyards at UMD. And so if you're interested in those properties, please contact them directly, and I can go. Let me try and swipe back. So on this last slide here, you'll see the South Campus Commons and the courtyards at UMD. That's their contact information. So please connect with them directly if you have questions about those properties. One of the questions that came through was about first-year students. Are first-year students guaranteed on-campus housing?
So I don't see if my colleague is here. Our office does not oversee the residence hall assignments process for first year students. So I would encourage you to contact the Department of Resident Life Assignments and Public Inquiry Office, and they can answer your questions regarding the ability for first year students to live in the residence halls.
I'm here, Tiffany.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you, Glenn.
any incoming freshman is guaranteed housing as long as they meet the May 1st deadline. And any returning student for their second year is also guaranteed housing as long as they meet the deadline in February.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Glenn.
Okay. For off-campus housing, are there meal plans that are available for students living off campus?
So there are meal plans available. If you contact the university's dining services, they can share with you information about the meal options available for off-campus or commuter students. They do have plans available for you to potentially purchase directly through their office. So I would encourage you to contact their office and their website. It's dining.umd.edu, and their staff will be able to assist you. If you are also have not had your new student orientation session yet, there will be a session dedicated when you come to campus where they will provide you that information about the meal options if you are living off campus.
And I also put in the chat, if you haven't been following, some of the links that Tiffany has been referring to. And I also just posted our connector plans for dining services. So you can learn more about those meal plans for students who are living off campus or may have their own kitchen in their unit. I'm looking through the Q&A to see if there are ones that are helpful to address online.
I see there is one question in regards to the rates for South Campus Commons in the courtyards. Those rates are per person, per installment month. So they do not have a structured where the basically the amount you see is what you will be paying individually for a person living in that bedroom.
There are some questions about financial aid and loans and if those can be used for housing off campus. I encourage you to contact financial aid or who you're getting the loan through to determine if that can be used for housing and what the process is for that. Again, that's the Office of Financial Aid.
And I do want to highlight that if you do sign a lease with South Campus Commons in the courtyards, financial aid will ask for you to provide some sort of documentation to show that you are living in university affiliated housing. And so you can contact the site housing office and they can provide that documentation for you as well. There is a question that can probably answer here live is how far in advance should students look to sign a lease at an apartment? And I would say for that question, it is about your personal comfort level. Because the properties, when you're looking for off campus housing, will try to incentivize and really encourage you to sign with them as soon as possible. So it's upon you as the student and within their family to determine what is your threshold for when you are wanting to sign a lease for the upcoming school year or even thinking the future years. So I would say it's more of a personal choice, but we encourage students that before you sign a lease, please make sure you're doing your research and you're engaging with our office or even coming to our off-campus living fair to see other properties that may be aligning with your housing needs.
There were some questions about are these furnished apartments or not? Can you answer a little bit about that?
Sure. So for South Campus Commons and the courtyards, the apartments are furnished. And for the apartment complexes in the greater College Park area, some come unfurnished, some come furnished. For those that are unfurnished, you can speak with the property management company to see if they potentially contract with a furniture company where you can rent your furniture and have it be in the apartment during your lease term.
And then another question, throughout the academic year, do you all host events to help students with off-campus housing, similar to the housing fair that you'll have in July?
Sorry, Dan, can you answer that question? My sound broke up a bit.
Yes. So there's a question about opportunities for students to learn more about off-campus housing. So there's the fair that's during the summer. Is there anything that is offered during the academic year?
So during the academic year, our office will be doing more outreach events. So we will be at an upcoming transfer and off-campus student fair that will be coordinated with the transfer and off-campus student life office in the fall semester. And then we will be present at the first look fair. And so throughout the semester, we do have events that will be present ed, but otherwise we encourage students to come stop by our office or contact us if they are wanting to schedule a personalized consultation or get information about upcoming events. We do also work to post events on our main website so students have that information available to them as well.
Great, thank you so much. So I am going to wrap us up here. Thank you all for taking the time to join us this afternoon. We appreciate your commitment to staying informed and engaged. And thank you to our resident life and off-campus housing services staff for their presentation and also for answering questions. The contact information is here on this final slide. If you have additional questions after this session, please don't hesitate to reach out to the appropriate office, and they'll be happy to assist you. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar will be available on the Terp Family YouTube channel later today. So you'll also receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording, as well as a brief survey. We value your feedback, so let us know how we did, how we can improve, and if there's other departments or content that you're interested in learning more about. Thank you all again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.